Hello my lovelies, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for watching this video. If you find it helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can also click on the notification bell if you'd like to be notified when I next upload a video. Many thanks and I hope you enjoy this video.
Hi everyone and welcome to another video on my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. In today's video we are going to be creating these nails. So in follow on from my going through my Madam Glam advent calendar collection, I used two that I haven't used in previous videos. And if I said it was a random selection, I'd be telling a bit of a porky pie. What I actually did was I actually found this transfer foil. So I actually moved all my nail stuff on the weekend and sorted through it. And I found this transfer foil, which I actually forgot that I had. I've actually got a few of them, which I rediscovered and will start using them. But I found these two colours, so this sort of ochre orangey colour and this purple. And I thought, I'm pretty sure that there's colours in the Madam Glam advent calendar. And sure enough there were, and neither of which I had used before. So the purpley colour is called Plum Addict. And the ochre sort of orangey colour is called Bang Bang. As a base, as always, I used my Luminary piece. My top coat was Empower, also by Luminary. And then the nail foil is actually from a company called Shardy Nail Shimmers. I bought these off eBay a million years ago. And I have to say I was really impressed to find that the glue still worked and so did the foils. The foils transferred fine. But I did find that I was running out of time. So you'll see that certain parts of the videos I look like I'm kind of in a bit of a rush and probably cut a few corners, and that is why. I didn't have the amount of time that I usually like to have. As always, I had my trusty cleanup brush. You will also need a detail brush. If you don't have a detail brush, that's fine. You could use a toothpick or a very fine dotting tool. You'll see through the video where I use this, and either of those would be fine as a replacement. I also use a silicone tool. Mental blank there, couldn't think of what it's called. A silicone tool, and that was just to help me get the transfer foil off the foil and onto my nail. And I also used these two dotting tools. Now, if you don't have a set of dotting tools, I strongly recommend that you get them. I have a set of 5. And the beauty of them is you actually end up with 10 different sizes because both ends of your dotting tool are different sizes. So between the 5, I have 10 different sizes of dotting tools, and I use them a lot. If you've watched many of my videos, you'll find that I use them, and they are my go-to in a situation like when I was doing this mani and I didn't have a lot of time. They are my go-to. So you'll find that I didn't do my right hand off on camera, but you'll see this is all basically foil, and I only do one when I get to actually doing the video because I was running out of time. It was just one of those things, you know, sometimes you've got 2 hours to do your nails and sometimes you just don't. So when I don't and I want to do some form of nail art, I lean to my dotting tools because I just find them brilliant. You will also want some kind of dish, tile, something where you can just put blobs of the gel colours. This is actually a it was a little thing of cat food, and I reuse them. I keep them, I wash them, and I reuse them. And they're great for things like, you know, nail art, whether you're doing marbling or dotting or to collect your crystals, all sorts of stuff like that. And of course, you will need your ever-trusting isopropyl alcohol. So I think that's everything I used. Can't think of anything else. Obviously, you need your lamp and your general bits and pieces that you always need. As I said, I was in a bit of a hurry with this video, so it's probably not my neatest mani, and it's certainly not my most complex, but just goes to show that you can also do your nails when you're a bit time-strapped. Anyway, I hope you find the video helpful. I hope you're all well. Let's get into it.
So first off, we're going in with our first coat of the Plum Addict colour. This was a really nice colour to apply, by the way. It's a really nice opaque formula, and it's a relatively thick formula without being goopy and difficult to use, but it's thick enough that it's not pooling or anything. So it was a really nice colour to work with. I really liked this one. It's almost opaque enough for one coat, but because I do thinner coats, I I did use 2 coats because it was still a little bit transparent towards the free edge there. And you just saw me capping the free edge, which I always do, but I only ever do it on 1 coat of the colour. And then I go in afterwards over the whole nail again, just to make sure that I haven't got sort of a lump of colour at the free edge. And then as usual, I'm just going in with my cleanup brush just to make a nice rounded edge and make sure I've got nothing down the side walls. So then we're going in with the Bang Bang colour on my index finger. This was also a really nice colour to work with. It was very opaque, probably more opaque than the Plum Addict actually. You could definitely have got away with 1 coat of this colour. It's actually a bit more brownish in real life than it's coming across on camera. It's looking a bit more orangey on camera. And it's one of those colours that I don't normally gravitate towards. And to be honest, if it hadn't been in the advent calendar, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But now that I've had it on for a couple of days, I actually quite like it. So yeah, it's good sometimes when you get these collections and there's sometimes a colour in there that you wouldn't normally gravitate towards, but you use it and you quite like it. So, and it was a really nice polish to work with, very similar formula to the plum colour. So here I'm just capping my free edge again. As you can see, I've got a little bit of gel on my sidewalls there, which I will remove before I put it in the lamp. So whenever you can, try and, well, best thing is to avoid getting gel on your skin. But if you do, remove it as soon as possible, and definitely before you put your hand into the lamp for it to cure. So I'm just going around the cuticle area there just to get a nice smooth edge on that colour. Sometimes I find that getting that really rounded look around your cuticle can be a little bit tricky with the polish brushes, so I just like to go in with my cleanup brush and just round that off. In some of my videos you've probably seen I actually go round the cuticle area with the brush. Either or achieves the same thing. So here I've got a dollop of each colour onto my palette, and this is to do the flowers. So I'm just taking the largest of my dotting tools, and I'm just going to put 4 dots on, and they are going to form the petals of my flower. You could obviously use any size dotting tool that you like. Generally, the smaller the size dotting tool, the more petals you'll end up with. So I had the bigger one, so I only ended up with the 4, and now I'm coming in with my detailer brush and just pulling a little bit of the polish from each of those dots towards the center there. If you don't have a detailer brush, that's fine. You can use a thin dotting tool or a toothpick or anything that's got quite a thin point to it. And don't worry about how the flowers look in the centre because we're going to cover that up with a dollop of polish. They also actually look really nice with crystals in the centre. I didn't do that in this mani just because I was a bit rushed for time, but had I had more time I probably would have used crystals instead. They finish off the flowers really nicely. So I'm just going to do a second flower on this nail. And then come in with my detailer brush and do exactly the same thing, which is just pull a little bit of polish towards the center. I did flash cure that purple flower before moving on to the ochre color. And that's just because when you use a dotting tool, you're using quite a dollop of gel polish. So over time, as the polish self levels, it can run a little bit. So yeah, I recommend if you're doing a dotting pattern, then just every now and again just flash cure it to prevent your dots from running anywhere. And each time you see my dotting tool disappear, that's because I'm dipping my tool back into the gel polish. So when you want to have dots of basically the same size, then you will need to dip into your gel polish regularly. If you don't dip into your gel polish, your dots will gradually get smaller. Which I actually do later in this mani because that's what I wanted, but at this stage I wanted all of the petals at about the same size. So I dip back into my gel polish after every 1 or 2 dots at the very most. And here I'm just putting on my second purple flower. So it's basically the same as the ring finger, but I've just got the colours in the different order. Okay, so that's all 4 flowers done. So that went into the lamp for a 60-second cure. And now I'm going to come in and do the center of each flower. So I'm using the alternate color. So where I've got the plum flower, I'm using the ochre for the center, and vice versa. You could, of course, if you used your crystals, they would look really nice with like a clear crystal in the middle, or you could use an AB crystal, which would reflect the colours of the flower around it really nicely, or of course you could go in with a coloured crystal as well. So here I'm using a slightly smaller dotting tool. And this is the technique I was talking about before, where I don't go back in to my polish, and so the dots gradually get smaller. It's not so obvious on the video, it's more obvious at the end when you see the mani completed, but those dots are actually, they graduate in size, they start bigger and they gradually get a little bit smaller. And I'm just doing that to basically as a little bit of a border around the flowers, and then that's going to go in the lamp for 60 seconds. So here I'm coming in with my isopropyl alcohol. So what I'm doing here is I'm just removing the sticky layer from the middle finger and the ring finger, basically where I've got my dots. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I top coat, when I've got dots, I actually sort of jiggle my top coat brush a little bit over the nail just to make sure I get top coat in between each of those little dots. Because the dots sit higher than the rest of your nail, when you're applying top coat, you can very easily sort of skim over the dots, and then those little bits in between the dots don't get hit with the top coat, and so you end up with your nail looking a little bit patchy, and obviously part of it without top coat, which is not what you want. So when you do that, when you've got dots, and certainly with opaque colours like these two, the tacky layer of the polish can run a little bit. So you find your dots actually look like they're a bit smeared. I hope that makes sense. I probably should have done a bit of a demo to show you what I meant by that. But it's easily prevented. So just take your IPA or whatever cleanser you use, whatever you normally use to remove the tacky layer from your polish, just use that. And that will remove that tacky layer from those dots. And so as you're sort of, dragging your top coat brush over them to make sure you're getting in between the dots, you're not smearing that top layer. Because when you leave a tacky layer on your polish, a little bit of color can come away with that. You might have noticed that sometimes as well with your top coat, even if you're just not using dots, but just, you top coat an opaque color. Sometimes you end up with a little hint of color on your top coat brush. Yeah, it's very similar to that. So we've gone in with our top coat, and I'm just flash curing those two nails. This top coat that I use, I really like. It's the luminary one, and it lasts really well. Your nails are shiny for a good few weeks. It never chips, it never cracks, but it is quite runny to use. So I do often flash cure at least one or every 1 or 2 nails. Especially in the warmer weather. We're coming into autumn here, or we are in autumn, so it's a bit less of an issue, which is why I've done the 2 nails, but I don't normally go for more than 2 nails without flash curing. And speaking of flash curing, that little trick I was telling you about before with the isopropyl alcohol, make sure you have fully cured your dots before you run the IPA over them. If the dots or if the gel polish isn't 100% cured, what'll happen basically is as you move your isopropyl alcohol over it, those dots will wrinkle, and they really don't look very good. You can go over them, but to be honest, they're still not going to look great. You're better off just removing the dots and starting again. So just to avoid that, just make sure that your polish is always fully cured before you come in with your isopropyl alcohol. And I do apologise for the state of my hands. It's been a bit of a messy week for my nails. I've been swapping rooms. I've been swapping my nail room for my study. So I've been, moving computers and desks and all my nail gear. So I've got a few cuts and scratches on my hands as a result of that. I've also got a blood blister on the inside of my hand, which I think you'll see a little bit later. I was having a fight with a coffee machine and lost. So yes, please, I do apologise for the state of my hands. And here I'm just going in and I'm just checking from every angle with my top coat. I always do this before I put my nails in the lamp, just to make sure that I've got a nice even coverage and everywhere is covered with that top coat. So now we're coming in with our nail foil glue, and I'm only going to put this on the very corner of my thumb because I'm only got. So I do apologise for that cut there. I hadn't realised for a while there I was off screen. So yeah, I basically had a couple of minutes of nothingness, which wasn't helpful, so I cut it out. So I do apologise for that, but I did exactly the same as I did on my middle and ring fingers with the flowers. And now I'm just coming in with that little bit of foil that I'm using to get the butterfly. That glue is well and truly dry by now, which is what you want. You need to make sure that the foil glue is dry before you come in with your foil. And I'm actually putting quite a lot of pressure on here. As you can see, I've actually turned my silicone tool around to the firmer side. You want to put a fair bit of pressure when you're doing transfer foils. And you want to put a bit of pressure and just keep going backwards and forwards until you're pretty confident the design has come off. And then when you peel it back slowly. Just then you can see that if part of the design hasn't transferred properly, you can keep rubbing it until it does. They can be a little bit tricky, so just make sure you rub it really well with quite firm pressure. And here I'm just removing a little bit of the foil design that I didn't want on there. I just wanted that purple butterfly. And I apologise, I'm out of screenshot there again. I have to remember that next time. The thumbs are a little bit tricky and it's easy to get out of frame, but I'm just doing the dotted border the same as I did on the other nails, and I'm going to cure that in the lamp for 60 seconds. So now I'm going to come in with my cleanup brush and some IPA to remove the tacky layer from those dots for exactly the same reasons we talked about before, but you can't just do a nail swipe like I did previously, because that would remove the butterfly. Because I haven't top coated or covered that butterfly with anything at this point, it's just sitting on the glue. If I ran IPA or any type of cleanser over it, the butterfly would come off. So I'm just using my detailer brush to work around that butterfly and get the tacky layer away off that gel polish. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not quite sure why I ended up doing it twice, but anyway, I probably found a little bit that I'd missed or something like that. And now we're just going to come in with our top coat as we did previously. And work your way in between those dots, and then you'll get a nice even coverage. And then a bit like you do with the free edge, just go in between the dots and then just do one final sweep over the whole nail. And that will even out the surface of your nail and just give you nice even coverage. And check it in all lights as usual, and then just go in to the free edge and then do that final sweep over. And here I'm just coming in with my clean-up brush just to make sure I haven't gone over the edge there before putting that in the lamp to cure for 60 seconds. And there we go, that's this week's nails. I hope you like them. It's a bit of a quick design, so thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.